All right. Recording. Now it appears we are recording, so I should start over?
Yes.
All right, welcome. This is the first part of the grisaille painting. This is the tonal portion. For the tonal portion, I'm choosing a burnt sienna, which is a nice warm tone, because this is eventually what I'm going to be working with. And this is my black and white. I changed the photo to a black and white so I could more easily see as I'm laying on my tonal colors. So in the middle here, we have my burnt sienna. I have some white above it. And I do have some of the medium, the acrylic glazing satin medium, just so I can get it nice and smooth. I really want a nice smooth application for this. And I believe that in this area here, I probably won't be putting much of any paint at all. So I could begin here. That's sort of the horizon line this fire took place in the morning. And ask questions if you have questions. A little hunk of junk. So it's nice and smooth. I am painting my substrate, or what I am painting on today is a board. It's called a cradled board. And I gessoed it several times yesterday, and then I sanded it. So I have a nice smooth surface. Eventually, you can feel like you're having an experience of like the canvas set. There's no bounce like there would be to canvas. All right. Remember, this is just the beginning. We could also call this an underpainting. And even though we're doing a grisaille here, it doesn't hurt to always do a underpainting to lay out your colors often. I'm using a very old brush and it is shedding right now. Let's see. I think the mistake lots of people do when they do the grisaille is that they paint everything too dark. Second layer will have no whites in it. So the lights, there's a piece of hair. The lights we are establishing now. What I liked about this picture is I liked that the way that the brightness almost in the center burns out. Being able to see all of this, what I assume is a telephone pole. So one thing that I do, if I really want a smooth layer, I just keep beating that paint, keep moving it, moving it. mean, this is the way to get a very flat surface. And this very readily mimics Old Masters oil paintings, glazing upon glazing.
Are you using the satin glazing liquid or the retarder?
Well, I am using the glazing liquid. However, if you read even the container of your glazing liquid, it does say there is a small amount of retarder in it. The retarder's main job is to retard the paint. And I'd say the main job of the glazing liquid, glazing, giving you smooth finish, improving the flow, changing the paint. Oops, I keep getting stuck on this light. Changing the form of the paint from a paste to a cream or a lotion. One of my students described it that way, and I thought, oh my gosh, that is like the perfect description of this. And I may introduce a little bit of black into this. So it's not particularly a detailed photograph. I'm not going to make a detailed painting. What I was most excited about in the photograph was that explosion of light. And that's often when I work from photographs, something has attracted to me and I want to keep track. What the heck was it that made me want to do this? And not to get distracted by, doing every leaf on a tree or something, but just what was the thing that originally, because I think like the computer, we go down this rabbit warren of things that really didn't interest us, mildly maybe, but weren't of. Now I've added a little black to my burnt sienna just to bring it down a little. Get a nice little darker tone. I don't want to go super dark because I might want to lay some form of color on top. Now the color that I'm adding to it kind of looks like a warmer burnt umber. And if we talk about be careful. One of the things about when you get to your grisaille piece and you're laying these glazes on is if there's retarder in it, you really have to wait for each layer to pretty much dry, or you get this scumming. It's like it half has a skin on it, and then you disturb the skin. So then you're pushing the skin around. You won't get a nice smooth painting. And there's a way that it sort of stays tacky. Have you had that experience before?
With the acrylic?
Yeah, with it. You don't seem to have it as much with, I don't have it as much with oil, but I really.
No, with oil, with it drying out, then it kind of starts to mess it up. But with the layer that dries on the acrylic, if I just sort of hit it with the palette brush and try to remix it, sometimes that brings it back for me.
Oh, I meant on the canvas.
Oh, on the canvas. Yeah, it's harder on the canvas.
Starts to scum and kind of be a little unpleasant. Move, excuse me, to a different brush. I got white on that brush. I don't want to totally wash it out. Did you see the new videos I posted?
I haven't watched them if it was this week.
Yeah, I
I
just
watched
posted
this.
them. Some of my beginning students were asking me questions, could I show this or that? And so that's what I did. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, I need some burnt sienna, a little more burnt sienna. I don't put out a lot of paint unless I absolutely know I'm going to paint a big area all at once. With acrylic, with oil, I can come back the next day and it's still, quote, alive. Hit it with a little liquid and boom. Got a painting. All right. Hopefully the next time I set this up, it'll be, I don't know if you can see the beautiful way that burnt sienna works. I think burnt sienna is a great basis for many skin tones. Burnt sienna, yellow oak are great beginnings for skin tones. I like the burnt sienna also for African American skin, dark brown skin, because if you start with a brown, there's no reds in it, and everybody's got blood under the surface of their skin, so there'll be a bit of that red coming through, especially children. Rosy cheeks. Also, you know, I'm painting such a small painting, I don't need much retarder. I'm restricting myself to an 8x10. One, because it's better for a demo. Two, can't get my camera high enough to see a bigger painting. So oops. One thing that's nice about acrylics, if you get it within the first small period of time, like during the day, if it's not particularly hot, you can remove it from the canvas. So I've got a little bit of that burnt sienna on here. but I'll also have that soft edge of the fire. So if this video doesn't work, you're just going to see the completed piece. Used to have students painting in acrylic. They didn't like what they did. And I said, well, you know, you can either gesso over it, start clean, or you can take it over the sink and wash it off. Oh, looks like I dragged black into my canvas. Bad, bad. And just paint over it. So is this what you wanted to see? Yes. No.
It is. I wanted to also know how you are making your decisions about where to block off tones. Like I know you did the black and white in comparison to
Oops,
that
let me
photograph.
So you can see this. So this light area I've wiped out here. I've wiped this out. I'm going to look for getting a softer. I'm looking for my lights and my darks. And lots of times in any painting or any drawing, that's where I begin. If I know what I'm doing. You know, there's times when things are really just on some level experimental and you're flying by the seat of the pants. I don't do that very often, but I start with my lights and my darks, and then I work my midtones. How do you start?
Oops. I'm still stuck on watercolor, so I'm trying to, it's like the opposite, right? Where you go from light to dark. So starting with the darks first. I've tried to go around and just fill in the darks, but that never pans out because I'll start pulling in different tones, just putting it like the darkest hue, like say you use 6 different tones and starting with 6 as the darkest.
Yeah.
It will be my intention to go through and just color by number essentially, but my brain won't let me do that for some reason. I'll start to bring in the other tones just to make up one part of it so that it makes sense to me on the canvas.
Right. How about if you thought about making what's called an underpainting? Establish all your lights and darks as an underpainting. It's not the completed thing. It sounds like that you're jumping to the completed idea.
Yeah, it's hard. That's the idea, is to do the underpainting. But then I'll find myself I'm doing portraits. So just trying to
Right.
put blocks where the eyes are, and just put a block of dark and leave an area for white, and then it very easily seduces you into wanting to do the little details there. And then I'm like, stop, okay, and then and then I start to lose track of the tones then if I do that.
Right. So do you then do it more the quote watercolor way where you start with the light and go to the dark?
At that point, if I abandon what I went in there to do, then it's just chaos. And it's really it feels unorganized, and it feels a lot more stressful than it needs to be.
I know what you mean about unorganized, and I have a thought about that. This guy I used to paint with, we used to do plein air together. So, we'd be painting in the same space. And I said, oh, this is terrible. This is terrible. And he'd say, that's because you're in the middle. And of course, it's unorganized in the middle. It's not where you want it to be. It's not the beginning where everything is possible, right? In the beginning, many things are possible. Oh my God, it's going to be the greatest painting that ever was. And I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And then you start and you've started and you try to evaluate it the way it's going to be, as opposed to where it is now and where you got to push it. And it happens to everybody that, oh my God, what a mess. You're just in the middle. Think about making a cake. You put the ingredients together. Oh my God, it's a mess. It's not ever going to be a cake. Well, you got to do some other things to it first to make it the cake. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. So don't look at it. Look at it, but don't look at it.
Look at it as part of the journey. It's not the destination yet. That's what one of my... It's what?
So I need to work on just accepting where it is.
Yeah. Well, it always happens that, one feels that way. Oh my God, blah, 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 blah. That little head, that little chatterbox in your head. But why in the middle should it look finished? It would look finished, you would have nothing to do. I mean, it still gets me, but you're in the middle. The other thing that gets me about being in the middle is you're in the middle. You're not done yet. And maybe you don't know how to get to, the other side. Maybe you have no idea how to put that sloppy cake in the oven. I always have food analogies. I always do. But I'm still developing. I mean, on some level, I put those values down in the beginning, and I'm slowly making some of them darker because it's all about the relationship of what's happening on the surface you're painting on. Right? You put down a tone you thought was perfect. Well, when you put other things on, it's like, it's not so perfect anymore. This is generally not the way I paint. With a grisaille, but I thought it would be a good exercise to teach you about, glazing. Like I love Wayne Zhang's paintings, but I'm never going to paint like he does. Doesn't suit my personality. So the paint on the surface of this is getting a bit tacky. So when I go to put something else on, it's lifting a little. So I'm not going to add a lot where there is. I might come back later, maybe reestablish my highlights. Like I just realized these tones here might be cars. The reflection of the light hitting the cars. So I might come back in later and on my little rag, it's got black on it.
What else are you teaching this semester besides painting?
This is it.
Oh, nice.
One class last semester I taught, what did I teach? 2D design at Contra Costa. But since they did not offer, what didn't they offer? They didn't offer my watercolor 2 or 1 this semester. Just teaching this. It's kind of weird. Just to teach one. And the thing is, I already have so much ready to go from last semester. Now I can hopefully fine tune and make new videos, make whatever I have to do for students better. I think that's why I decided to take French. That is a 5-unit class.
I'm scared of you. I am scared of, that's a lot of homework.
Doesn't seem, well, the thing is I took, because I went to grade school up to 7th grade in the East. Well, from 2nd to 7th grade. And they taught French in grade school, I guess because we were so close to Canada. I don't know. And then I took 2 years of high school French. So all that stuff is in there somewhere. One just has to excavate what is in there. All right, what do you think? I feel like I can't add, I want to add more in this dark area, but I can't because it's starting to pull up. So I still might go in and lighten some of this here. Fine tune this little area, and then I might be done. So by Monday, I'll come on early and hopefully won't swear as I started. So, you know, I work from photographs, but my work is not anything like photographic. I'm looking for something I found in the photograph. And I said before, it's that bright light in the center. It's these hard verticals of a telephone pole. My guess is they could be two separate telephone poles, and then the trees. So there are things that are attracting me in the photograph. It's like the dynamic lines of a photo. How's that?
Well, that's good. That works. Thank you.
All right, we'll see if this turns out to be a movie.
All right. Thank you. Let me know if you need my help with anything else.
Well, thank you so much for assisting, for putting up with my, I don't know, ineptness. But, you know, it's the first time. I never would have attempted this last spring. All right.
You did an excellent job.
Yeah.